Hi everybody, I'm coming to you on this very rainy, foggy, cold day. I decided to make a video. And this video is geared towards the people who want to create an online business. If you decide that you want to have a tarot business, you want to make reading tarot your priority and you want to create a shop for it. If you want to have a store, if you want to decide you want to open a metaphysical store and you just had this idea and now you don't know how to go about it. So I am here to explain that a little bit in terms of how to brand your business. A lot of people have problems with that. They don't really know where to begin and what that actually means. So I'm going to shed light on that. A little bit about myself. I am, as some of you might know, I'm an illustrator and I've created a bunch of decks. I am the creator of Hidden Waters Tarot, Claire de Lune Lenormand, Oracle of Echoes. I'm currently working on really trying to finish Tarot of the Abyss, and I'm also working with the lovely Avalon on her tarot. But before all of this, I worked in advertising. I was an art director and I worked in branding. My job was to take a product and to brand it, to come up with a name for it, a personality for it, to create a logo and to create a campaign for it that can then be put out and bring in profit. So that was my job. Now I worked in corporate, so it's a little bit different if you're going to do your own small business, but the approach is the same. The way you need to think about it is identical. It's the same. So I'm going to go through the steps of it. All right, so let's say that you have decided that you want to have your own tarot reading business. And you're an excellent reader, and you know that you've had clients that have told you that, and you want to just make it your full-time job or a part-time job. Well, how do you go about that? Well, okay, so you need to put yourself out there, and you need to come up with a name, right? A lot of people will use their own name, and some will actually come up with an umbrella name for their business. I tend to prefer coming up with your own umbrella for your business, mostly because if you start off with just using your name, John Smith, tarot, what happens in years down the road when you want to expand and say you now have a lot of money, your business has flourished, and you want to create a shop to include everything in it? Well, now you run into the issue where you have to come up with a different name to put that out there, right? Because you go down the street, you're going to see a metaphysical store with a generic name, not a person's name. At least I haven't seen that yet. So you kind of have to think in advance. Even though it would sound great to just put your own name out there, you have to kind of project what's going to happen in years down the road so you don't have to spend additional money for the development of a logo that you've already created. So that's the first step to think about. The second thing is, what makes you different from every other tarot reader out there? Why is your shop or your online business going to be better than everybody else's? What can you bring to the table? Because there's so many people out there that will offer the same service as you. So what exactly are you going to bring to draw in that audience that will, keep you separate and distinguish you from everybody else? So you have to think, what are you going to offer additionally that nobody else has to offer? Are you going to include any type of rune divination with your tarot reading? Are you going to include any spirit work? Is that something that you want to include? Are you psychic? Are you just going to focus on tarot? Are you going to focus on a particular type of spread that nobody else has created. So write those things down. What makes you different from everybody else? That's the first thing you need to do. You need to get your mind wrapped up around the idea that you need to remove yourself from the crowd. And you have to do that. You have to do that first before you can go to anybody else. You need to know what makes you different. So after you have your list, now comes the moment where you're going to have to decide, are you just using your name or are you using a shop name? If you are using your name, there's a tricky thing to it. Like if you have a lot of fan base already, you've developed your own business before you're doing this, then yes, use your name because everybody knows you already. But the other issue is if you put an image of yourself online, that might take away from a lot of people coming to your store because people are fickle. You know, they might come to your site and be like, oh, I love this person, I love how they look, I'm going to check them out. Or they're going to say, oh, I don't like this person, you know, they look weird, I'm not going to go here. So you're going to limit your audience, you're going to limit your buyers. I'm going to say buyers because I'm going to think about this as a business. I understand that it's a spiritual thing and a lot of people don't look at it that way, but because of the purpose of this video, I'm going to view everything very corporate-like, I guess. So again, if you're going to put your image out there, know that you're going to eliminate a lot of people that might come to your shop. If you're going to not do that and pick a name, well, the process now branches and you have to decide on a name. Now, what usually will happen is you need to find somebody to develop your brand identity. What does brand identity mean? Well, it goes like this. You hire a person that works in advertising, that works with branding, right? A brand company that will do that for you. I think there's out there. And then you would go to them and say, okay, so I have this awesome idea. I want to open a metaphysical store. I'm going to give you another example, right? So I'm going to open up a metaphysical store and what do I do to do that? Well, they're going to say the same thing I did. Who are you? What distinguishes you from the store next door? What can you bring to the table that person cannot? Again, make a list of things. Are you a shaman? Are you an eclectic witch? Are you a kitchen witch? Are you are you a garden nature witch? Are you, a medium? Are you all those things? If you're going to open up a store, say, online or outside, you're going to have to decide what you're bringing into that store. Are you going to bring, are you going to dry up your own herbs? Are you going to infuse them yourself? That's something that you want to put in there. That's something that will help you with your branding. Are you going to cater to, I guess, you're obviously not going to cater to teenagers or, young children because they're not going to have the money to come to your store. So who exactly is your audience? Your audience, are they male or female? Are you catering more to the female community or the male community or both? Because that's going to come into play too. So come up with your identity in the sense of who you are as an individual. And then obviously you're opening up a store because you think you can bring something new to the table, right? So what can you bring new? Make a list of the things that you can bring new. And then develop a brand personality. Your brand personality, your shop personality, will have to incorporate all the things that you wrote down. So for instance, pick up a dictionary or go online and type in the word witch or type in the word nature and see all the synonyms that come up with that. Because that's what this is what a branding person would do. They would spend hours going through your list of words, picking out the words that you identify with, Say you tell them, I'm a spiritual person, I'm a nature person. Well, they're going to go back, take up all those words, look for synonyms for those words that create an emotion, and then present them to you in terms of a personality. And based on those words, you can pick some of them to create a name. So again, look for synonyms that would explain who you are. And then see if there's any words out there that can actually create a name for you. Now, once you get the name, you have to make sure that nobody else around you has it. So usually the person that you hire will do a search and try to make sure that you're not utilizing somebody else's name, because then that's a problem. You're going to have to patent that name. And then so you're going to pick it, and then you're going to have to decide on colors. How are you going to make that visually pleasing? So I have here to show you, this is like something that I worked on years ago. It's just an example on how branding works. This was a product that I worked on, but it goes through the steps of branding, so you can kind of see it. So this would be a branding presentation. And first you would go and you would do positioning focus. So the positioning focus would be, what does your store do? You know, what does it do? What are you bringing? That's your focus. And then the brand personality, these are the words that I told you about right here. Right here, there's relaxed, elegant, sophisticated, and timeless. These were words to describe the product that I was working on. So in your case, you'd have to pick out a couple of words, 4 words, 3 to 4 words that would identify and give the feeling of who your brand will be. So let's see if I have it. Okay, so I'm going to go forward. And then once you get that information down, so you're weeding down all the things that kind of are necessary for anybody to actually understand what you want to do. What happens next is the branding person will say, okay, so now we have to pick colors. Well, you can say, well, I really love purple. I want purple in my logo. Well, that's great, but does that actually work with who you're trying to be? So if your name that you've decided, that you've chosen, is going to be the Green Cottage, putting purple in your logo is not really going to work. And also you have to look at it from a more generalized idea, because color is very subjective and it can influence people and it can make them stray away from your store. So if you have a pink logo, it might make a lot of men not come to your store, because they might say, oh, this is a shop for a female. It's not really catered to me, so I don't know, I'm not going to go and check this out. So again, you're eliminating a bunch of people that could come and understand what you're doing. Anyway, so what we would do next would be a color selection. So we would go and pick 3 colors that would represent your logo. So once you would have a primary color, a secondary color, and a third sustaining color. And these colors you would work throughout your campaign. So you have to think, when you choose these colors, they will work across the board for anything you develop from now on. Whether it's a web page, whether it's a brochure, whether it's a video that you put online, if you put a banner, if you decide that you are going to sell items in your store, physically speaking, or from on the internet, on your labels, anything that has to do with the printed material and the visual world, you will incorporate those colors. So that's a big decision. So for instance, here we have some numbers that you can kind of see on the actual colors. These numbers actually mean something. They are called Pantone matching system colors. And what that is this little guide here. These are Pantone matching system colors, meaning that if I take Pantone 320 and I put it in my logo, any printer in the world that's going to print my logo should look exactly that color because it's a Pantone color. It's like going to Home Depot in California and they will, you want to paint your wall a green and they have this color set. They mix your color and they give you the paint, and then you go to, New York and you ask for that same color. Those two colors will match identically because they are specifically matched. The quantities that goes into those colors are exactly the same, the pigments, so then it'll look the same. But that printing is also a little bit more expensive, these colors, than versus if you go and you do your logo, what is called a CMYK, cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. Those, if you print a logo in that, it's cheaper because you're only using the 4 colors that your printer or your laser printer can actually do. Anyway, back to colors. So you pick your color. Now you have to explain what each color is. So for instance, this is Restful Ruby. This is the name we gave it. And it has a personality. Its royal purple tone conveys a sense of being grounded. The color is contemplative and suggests deep relaxation. So each color has a meaning. So each color that you will incorporate in your logo has to have a logical sense why you put that in there. So again, this is something that your branding person will do. We'll talk to you through. And deciding what colors you use is important. If you are going more on a nature theme, obviously you're going to be incorporating greens, browns, the colors of nature, which is great because then you already know why you're putting them in there. This particular brand, it was a product, so obviously we were coming up with a name, and since it's a product, then it's kind of, it's a little tougher to do. So after you do that, then you would start developing a symbol. So you have your personality, your name, your logo name, your store or your shop name, and now you have the colors, and after that, you develop a symbol. Now, what is a symbol, and why do we incorporate that in there? A symbol is an element that is usually drawn. It's sometimes a vector-based, meaning it's done on a computer, in a computer program, or it is illustrated, drawn. So the symbol has to convey visually in one little snippet what your store is about, or what your business is about. This particular product that I was working on had to do with legs. The product was about legs. So we came up with a bunch of symbols, and this one was a leg. So the symbol itself is separate from the name of the business because the symbol is almost like a little picture that will, talk about your shop. Because what happens is if it's an actual location and you have a banner with your shop or it's in lights or whatever, when a car is passing by, they will see that symbol and it'll register in their mind. In an online search, there's thousands of pages out there. Most likely, if somebody's scrolling through and they will see your page one time, they will remember, oh, that's the page with, the apple. Oh, I remember that. Yeah. Well, not only that, the symbol has to be related to your words that you're putting into your name, right? So if you have a picture of a leg and you say nature's blessings, it has nothing to do with the leg. But if you have a picture of a leaf and you say nature's blessings, then it's related, right? So you come up with your symbol. Now, in order to do this, you do multiple sketches for it. You will do sketches. Your artist will do, or your art director will do lots of little pencil sketches. They'll come up with ideas, and once you select it, you'll be like, okay, I want this. I like the leaf. I want to do the leaf. Well, then they're going to take that leaf that they've drawn, and they're going to put it in the computer, and then they're going to draw it in the computer, or they're going to paint it, and then your symbol is going to be done. And then comes the logo lockup, meaning you're going to put your symbol and you're going to incorporate it inside a logo with your name. And this is what it's going to start happening. So you're going to start putting your symbol by the name in different positions, right? So you're going to do, so this was like one leg, how it plays out, right? That's one leg. And then there's another way of doing it, right? So how do you do a different leg? So I did it this way. So it's a solid leg. And then you put that solid inside a logo and see what it looks like. So these are all versions of the same symbol. And then you know, this is a second symbol. It's more abstract. It has two legs done in lines. Now, again, these are very corporate images. They're very clean. They're very they're not very soft or welcoming, because the product that I was working on really wasn't that. But I'm just showing you how you can put different symbols around the same concept. So this is what a symbol is. Okay, and then you would have to come up perhaps with a commanding claim. What is a commanding claim? A commanding claim is the tagline that goes underneath your logo, meaning the little phrase or the words that goes underneath your store name or your business name, and it should say something. Like this one says, continuously at rest. So, and then you put it underneath your logo, right? You set it in there. So there's like a logo lockup. You don't have to have that, but a lot of businesses like to have that. Usually they won't have it on, you know, their front of the stores. They won't have that. But online, if you have it, if you have a web page, usually you'll put it in there. It depends how you want to do it. So this is what branding means. This is the process of branding, and this is why it sometimes it's very expensive to do, and not a lot of people have the money to do that. Now, if you decide that you want to try it out and you want to like do this, I would advise for you to get your mind wrapped around it and just try to eliminate a lot of the steps that they're going to ask you anyway. So it'll be a back and forth. It takes time to develop these things. Now, once you've done this, there's a couple of things that I will show you in terms of, I'll use my shop as an example. I'm actually a bad example because I did not create a logo for my shop. I just did a script writing for it. But the reason why you want to think in advance for this is because what you're developing now, and you want to make sure that you tackle every single aspect of it. So years down the road, you don't have to go back to the person that did your branding and say, well, I realized that I used my name, but now, you know, my business has flourished and I really want to open up a shop too, and I want to include these things, so I think I need to change my name. Well, that's going to be additional money. Like a lot of money, and it'll be from scratch. So I'm going to open up my program, and I'll show you a couple of other things that might be useful, and I hope I hope it helps. All right, so let's do this.